Hi everyone, it's Ashley at Tea Garden Paper Crafts, and this week I am showing you how to make faux specimen slides. I've got a couple examples here. I'm going to show you two different ways to do it. I'm going to show you one way in which we do them using a film slide. You can find these sometimes at thrift stores. You can purchase them on eBay, Etsy, a bunch of different places like that. This is what it looks like after the film has been removed. Now, if you can't get that, I'm also going to show you how to make it out of a recycled window envelope and using some paper. And we're going to use some packing tape. So I'll show you two different ways that we can make these that uses supplies that you should have at home. And if you, just as an idea, keep the film. If you get one like these, if you find these at the thrift store, state sales, flea markets, whatever, try to be careful when taking the film out because you can use them to make clusters and other cool stuff like that. I'll show that another time. But for today, we're going to use packing tape and pictures to make some slides, some faux specimen slides. So, and this is kind of what it will turn out to look like. This is one I did in advance. So, because I wasn't sure which one I was going to like. So let's put our supplies aside here, out of the way, and grab our packing tape. And you're going to need a bowl of water. I prefer to actually do this underneath a sink under a faucet, but you can do it with a bowl of water, and for the purpose of this video, I will. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to tear off a piece of tape longer than you need. So we'll start with this adorable little cutie, and you're going to take your tape and you're going to put it so that it completely covers your image. Okay? Now what I like to do is take a bone folder. This one is my one that I use for pressing down on glue and stuff. You're just going to run that over your image to make sure you don't have any bubbles or anything like that, because those will show. So just something like that. Get you back off the desk. There we go. So we'll do that for all three of our images that we're doing today. So next we'll take this little cutie here. These little monsters are from Monster Mash by Petals and Parchment. It's a kit that you can find on her Ko-fi page. I love her stuff, highly recommend her. And for clarity, I am a member of her design team, so I get the kits for free, but the reason I'm now a member of her design team is because I used to purchase so often. I absolutely love her stuff. And then this pumpkin, I believe, is from, I want to say TLC Creates, but I'm not entirely sure, but I believe this is from TLC Creates. All right, so we're going to take this one. Now this pumpkin is bigger than my tape, but that's okay because I'm just going to kind of center it as best I can. And push down. All right, so once you have that done, we're going to trim off any of the excess tape. If you are better at measuring than I am, you will not have to do this, but I would rather have more tape than I need than not enough tape to cover my image. So, and packing tape you can get at the dollar store, so I don't mind wasting a little. I try not to waste, but this is one of those things where I'd rather just make sure that I've got enough to cover my butt, or in this case, my image. So we'll cut off that. That. So basically what we're doing right now is just faux laminating them on one side. Okay. Also, in advance, I apologize if I sound a little stuffy. I'm getting over a cold, which is, so I apologize for the sniffles and all that. I'm getting over a cold. And so I wasn't able to record last week because we went to Cedar Point and then I came home with a cold, so hooray. All right. So now for any ones that like this that stick outside of your tape, I'm also going to cut that off because it will kind of cause a little bit of a mess otherwise. I mean, it's not a big deal if you don't. I just find that it's easier for myself if I do. All right, so we have our images. They are all taped on just one side, and it's important that you put the tape on the side with the image. You want the back plain side to not have tape on them. All right, so let me move my paper stuff out of the way here so that we don't have to worry about accidentally getting water on that. Give ourselves a nice clean space to work with, and I have paper towels at the ready. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to just plop these right into the water. Okay, and then so I recommend doing this on plain copy paper, not cardstock. You will see with this pumpkin one, which is printed on cardstock, that it's going to take a lot longer for me to get the backing off. So once the paper starts soaking through with the water, what you're going to do is you're going to just start rubbing. So you can see the back of this paper is coming off, and I'm getting these little pieces of the paper, and the ink is staying on the tape. So we're just going to keep rubbing. You can see why I would prefer to do this over in a sink with a running faucet, because we're going to get all kinds of paper bits. It's going to be a little bit harder to wash it off, but it's all right. This way you can see what I'm doing, and I don't have to try to figure out how to set up my camera over a sink, because I have a ring light that I use that sits on my desk, and it would be really difficult to set it up at a sink. And then I'd have to move you back here, and it's just not worth it. So we'll just do it with this way. So you can see I'm trying to get as much of that paper off as possible. And it's okay for these ones to sit in here while you're doing it. It's not going to hurt them at all. It probably will make it a little bit easier, but it comes off pretty cleanly. Let's see here. We're almost there with this one. And then we'll do the pumpkin next, because he's going to take a little bit of work because it's that cardstock. So you just rub in circles, or you can rub back and forth, whatever is easier on your hands. I'm trying to do this so you can see what I'm doing without completely covering it. And if you have some pieces that don't want to come off, just keep it under the water and rub instead of out of the water. Let's see, how's this one looking? Pretty good. We've got a little bit on the top there that's not wanting to come off. And if that's the case, you can just like lightly use your nail and just lightly scrape your nail, but only do that on the parts that don't have color, that are just white. If you do that on the color, you might scrape some of the color off, and then you lose part of your cute little image. So we'll shake that one off. There's that, and we'll just set that one to dry with the sticky side facing up, because the thing is that you're still going to get, the tape is still going to be sticky. So that's an important thing to note about this. So this one is the cardstock, and as you can see, it's going to take a lot more rubbing to get that off. That's why I recommend doing this on copy-weight paper, like a thin copy-weight paper as opposed to a cardstock weight paper, because the cardstock paper is obviously, there's more paper mass there, being that it's thicker paper. So it's going to take a little bit more rubbing to get that off. But it does come off. It does still work. So like I like to do this a lot with leftover fussy cut images and stuff. Like if I print something for a journal, like one of my design team projects or something like that, or if I'm making a specific theme journal and I've got some fussy cuts left, this is absolutely my favorite thing to do. Sometimes you can make it into like stickers, but specimen slides are my absolute favorite thing to do it with. All right, getting there with this one. So I think we're just going to do these two images for now. We'll leave the third one in the water, and I can just play with that one later. Because I don't want this video to get too long, and I don't want to have the video be just me scrubbing paper off of packing tape. But you can see here, like the pumpkin, we lost some color there, but I don't mind the way that looks. If you don't want as many clear spaces or like see-through spaces on yours, choose an image like this that has a lot more color to it. So like this pumpkin had a lot of negative space in the design, a lot of white. So naturally, anywhere that's white, because we're rubbing that paper away, it's going to come out completely clear or close to it. Almost done with this one. All right, let's see how we're doing here. Rinse it off. And then shake it off, and that looks good. All right, so I'm gonna put my bowl aside. You can see I've got one more little guy here, but like talking about this one, I bet you that this face here would end up being see-through or darn close to it. Yeah, see? So, all right. So we will move that aside, and I'm gonna bring in my paper towels. Now, for the paper towels, you want to make sure when you are wiping off your packing tape that you do not wipe off the side that is sticky, because you're just going to eliminate what you just did. You're going to end up with the, what's the word I'm looking for? The lint. The lint from the paper towel is going to get onto the sticky side. So I like to just kind of press my fingers down on that tape. See? Right there. I got some of that. But thankfully that's an easy fix. So there we go. All right. So the front side of our stickers is good. And then I just like to kind of dry my hand off, stick this on there to help get the excess moisture off the back side of it. All right, so set our paper towel aside. And these are already starting to get sticky, wanting to stick to everything here. So this is the one that I did before. And then this is the one that I did today with you guys. Very, very cute. Now, if you are doing it with a slide, obviously you're going to need a smaller image like this one. And you're going to want to put packing tape on the back side that's sticky, because otherwise you're just going to be picking up all sorts of film and stuff on it. So we'll take a small piece of that and very carefully just do. And get off of the pumpkin. And then we'll use our bone folder to press the tape together really, really well. And there we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see where I want him to go. Let me get a piece of white paper here, so just make it a little easier for you to see him. So I think he looks pretty cute like that. So then what we're going to do is I'm actually going to cut my image down so it's a little bit, I'm going to cut the sides down so it's a little bit smaller than my slide. So I want him to be, see that there? I want some of this paper showing because we're going to tape him onto here. So we're going to put him here and then kind of flip this around here and trim this side down. And then we want to do the same with the top and bottom. So we're going to get in there with our scissors. It's a little tricky to do because the film slides are fairly small. So it's a little bit harder to do it this way, but what I like to do then is after I have it trimmed, when I tape it on, instead of taping it on with packing tape, I like to tape it on with washi tape because I find that washi takes to glue better. So if you want this to end up on a page, you're going to want a way to be able to stick it on there. And so I find that washi tape is the best way to do that. And this is the perfect time to use up your washi tape that you don't use a lot. Like if you have an ugly washi tape that came in a set, like that's what this is for me, I will never use this in a journal. But it is still a really good way to use up washi tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear it off like that. I do not trust the glue on washi tape, so I will run it across my glue stick just to give it extra reinforcement because we don't want this guy to go anywhere. So make sure he is placed where we want him. I want to make sure his little horns are in there. And make sure that the tape is not visible through. So before I do that, see, like that, you can see the tape. We don't want that. What we want to do is we want to place it just above the line. And then come back and, oh, still not quite right. This part's a little fiddly. The film slides are way less forgiving than when you make your own. There we go. That's perfect. That's what I want. So now we're going to cut a little bit of this bottom off. Take our washi, run it over our glue stick, using the old finger smoosh technique. I think that's what Pam from the Paper Outpost calls it, the old finger smoosh. Make sure that we're good there. Yep, not showing through. Press down. And then I'm also going to do those two sides just to be extra sure that our little cute little guy is secure. We don't want him going anywhere. He is now our specimen slide. All right. Perfect. Smoosh it down. And then our final side. Make sure that we're not showing through, and we are not. Excellent. So there we are. So now we've got all this extra washi tape that we've got to get off here. So we will just snippy snip around. Now, before anyone says anything, yes, I know I am using the back side of the slide as the front side, and that's because I like the little date on there more than I like the Kodak logo. So that is why I have that. So let's cover our glue up for now, and let's do a little bit of decoration on this one, shall we? All right. So the first thing I am going to do is I want to do a little bit of inking on this. So I am using my Dewdrop coffee bean, and I'm going to color the sides of it. My dauber is falling apart. I need to glue it back together. I guess I ink a little too aggressively. Whoops. All right, and then I want a little bit of that color to kind of come around the top. All right, so that's how we're looking so far. And then I want to do a little bit of stamping to decorate the sides. So I've got two different stamps here that are from a like calendar thing. So I'm just gonna dab on some ink, have something underneath it to protect my desk. I'm gonna do like that. And then I think we'll do a little bit more of that in the corner over here. Like that. And then set that one aside. Grab out this one. And I'm going to do like that. And like that. Yes, I like that. Okay. And then I also have some gold ink here, some Dewdrop Galaxy Gold. And I'm just going to go in with the actual thing itself and just give a little tap along the outside, just to give it a little bit of extra shimmer. I'm not rubbing, I'm just tapping it because I just want little bits of shimmer on there. All right, and that is that specimen slide. So now for something like this, you could hang it in a journal, or if you were particularly concerned about, like, if you wanted to hang it instead of gluing it. So like this one I made with the washi tape on the back, this I expect to glue onto a page. But like this one, if you have the charm and you want to hang it in a journal, just cover the backside with coffee dyed paper or plain paper, tea dyed paper, etc., and then just ink it up. And then this way, this can actually get hung in a journal or hung from like a dangle on the side. So that is the specimen slide with packing tape and a film slide. So now let's do that again with the pumpkin, and let's do it with our envelope and make one of these. All right. So the first thing that I like to do is make sure that I'm good with that. Okay. So what we're going to do first is we are going to cut this down. So this is a large window envelope. This is one that comes from like the IRS. I work in an office environment, so we get a lot of envelopes. So I have all kinds of fun uses for them. So I'm going to save this part of it for another project. And we're only going to need the window for this one. So and I only need this part. I don't even need the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come along here and snip off the part where it's folded. And snip off where it's folded. Separate it out. And this part I will also set aside because I can use that for something else. And these two pieces will go into my scrap box, my scrap bag. All right. So now what we have here is our envelope. And what I'm going to do is I am going to find this edge here where it's rounded, and we are going to meet it. Just like that. So now I'm going to figure out where I want my pumpkin to go. And I think I want it, I want there. So what we're going to do is, because it's sticky on the back, and this is why I said you didn't need to put tape on this one, we're going to bring it right to our folded edge, and we are going to stick it right onto the window itself. Okay? So then the next part is I'm just going to trim this up. And I'm going to try and eyeball it so that it's about even. This one I don't do as much measuring. I don't really do any measuring. Who are we kidding? And then I get out my glue stick, and I am going to glue my window shut. Come on. There we go. All right. So now this is what we have so far. Oops. Making a mess. Don't mind me. So now, my other one, I used coffee dyed paper to line it. This one, I'm going to use a book page. I just think that that is going to give a little bit of a different look. And I like to make them all slightly different. So this is just how I like to do it. All right, let me just grab a sip of coffee here. Much better. All right. So how we want to do this is I'm going to kind of figure out how I want to line it. I'm going to line the top and then the sides. This side, obviously, we don't have anything here, so we need to create this side. And I want to try and get as much of it as just text as I can. So what I will do first is I am going to fold my page in half, like that. I will take my ruler and just tear it. Obviously, did not tear that very well, but it's okay. All right, so then what we're going to do is we can get 2 of the things. If you want all of your text going the same way, you're going to need 2 pages. I am not fussed about that at all. All right, so I like to do the top and the bottom first because that gives me something to glue onto here. So I'm going to use this side for the top and bottom, and then I'll use this side for the sides. You can see I've got stamping on here and stuff. Do not care. That does not bother me. So I'm going to fold the one that we're using for the top and bottom, and I'm going to fold that in half again. Take my ruler and tear it. All right. So then for this one, I think I want more text than anything. So I'm going to take my ruler. Now, normally when I tear, I put it here, but when it's something that like I'm trying to get rid of a small border, I like to put my ruler on the side that I'm not going to keep, the smaller side, and then tear the piece that I am going to use. Because then it gives you just I think it's easier. And I will keep that, throw that in my actual scrap box because that is something I can absolutely use. And then I will do the same over here. There we go. All right. So then we're going to want to put those on there. Now I am going to ink the edge of mine here. We can ink the rest of it when we're done, but I want to ink the part that's going to be on there. So I'm going to come along. Hopefully this makes sense what I'm doing, but that's why I'm trying to talk you through it, but I'm also showing you because sometimes things like this can be a little more difficult to explain and it's just easier to show you. So then what we're going to do is I put glue on this top edge here. I'm going to put my paper right about where I want it. Make sure that I'm covering that whole thing there, the whole edge. And we're going to put that, and then we're going to glue this side down. Okay, so I'm just going to fold this over until, just so you don't see it. And I'm going to leave these edges uncut. We will fix those later. Okay, and then I'm going to come in and we'll ink that edge. All right, so there's the top covered. Now we're going to do that again on the bottom. Now I think I am going to try to keep my text going the same way. Or do I want to do it that way? Actually, I kind of think that's fun. I kind of like that. We can have our text going around in a pattern on it. So let's go ahead and ink this. Put our glue on the bottom. And then bring this up until it just covers the edge. Like that. And then we just glue all that. And once again, we're going to fold it over until it just comes to the edge. So we are reinforcing that edge. And then, all right. So this is what we have so far. Okay. So now we're going to do basically the same thing, but we're going to do it with the sides. So what I like to do is, once again, like I did with the other piece, except for instead of folding it in half this way, I'm going to fold it in half this way. And then that'll be my 2 sides. There's very, very little waste of the book page on this one. All right, so I'll do this side first. We'll do this side upside down. If it bothers you, you can tear off or cut off this rough edge, but I quite like the way that it looks. So I will go ahead and ink that to actually accentuate it. Find where I want it to go. I want it to just cover the rounded area of my envelope, and put our glue on there, and then we find where we want it to go again. Try to make it straight-ish. There we go. Straight-ish. Are we kind of straight? Straight enough. All right, so then what I'm gonna do is we're gonna put glue on here. I am going to fold these ends in and glue them on like this. Pardon my snuffles. Okay, and then we're gonna fold this over, but we're not gonna glue it down yet, because what I wanna do is I wanna come in and take a little bit of bulk out of these corners. Okay, so we're gonna find where we are at the end here, and we're gonna just snip the corners off just a little bit. Okay, and then we can come in and glue that edge in, and it should be hidden behind it. There we go. Now, obviously, the paper ones are not going to have as much stability as the film slide ones, because the film slide are cardboard, these are paper. So these I really would only recommend for gluing to a page, but you can also use them as a pocket, which is really fun to do. I do that quite often. All right, so this one we're gonna want up, okay? So obviously we don't have anything underneath there to glue. That's why we kept these sides here, because that is where our glue is going to go for now to get it to stick to the front until we reinforce it. And I like to stick it just a little bit over the paper, or not over the paper, over the plastic here. So you can see I've got just a little bit of an edge there that is beyond the paper, or beyond the plastic. Can't get my words correct today. So once again, we will fold this over, make sure it's hidden over there on the side, and fold this over. And then, so for this one, because we don't have that edge here to kind of guide us where we want it to go, what we want to do is kind of eyeball. I'd say this is probably about a 1/2 inch. Yeah, about a 1/2 inch. So we're going to kind of eyeball where a 1/2 inch is. Use our ruler to make our crease, our fold here. Now for this one, I am not going to cut off the corners, because I want that extra little bit on this side, because we don't have the paper from the envelope there. We are creating that edge. So I suppose you could probably leave it on over here too. I just find that it's really bulky, especially if I'm going to be, gluing it in, because we've got the paper from the envelope, the paper from the book page. So you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, I don't know why I'm counting. It doesn't matter. But yeah, you'd have a lot of edges of the paper there. So it would be really bulky. So like this side, you can feel when you're making it that this side is bulkier than this side. So, all right. And then we go ahead and ink that up. Make sure that all of our little pieces are nice and glued down. There we go. All right, so next I want to do a little bit of decorating on this one as well. So let's do the same. We'll do the same design that we did on the other one, but I think I'm going to do this one in gold this time. And I'm going to bring that up like that. And then we'll do it on the other side here. Okay. And then we'll go back to our circle one. This one, I'm going to cover my corner. And maybe overlap a little bit there. And then a little bit there. Okay. So the last thing that I want to do for this one is I have, where did they end up? There they are. I have nail stickers. These are meant to go like on your nails as like a really nice little accent. And I find that I don't use them. I thought I would, and I don't. So I decided, well, they're a craft supply now. So I'm going to take these. They're very fiddly. This is where a pair of tweezers would come in handy, but I don't have any. And I'm going to put them down. And they're very subtle on this one, so that might not work. All right, let's try the darker one. Let's try these guys. Put that one there. Yeah, that looks cool. And then let's do this one over here. And then let's give it a little bit more here. Yeah, I like the way this is coming out. This is really cool. So like this one, if you wanted to turn it into a pocket, you would just glue these three sides down, and then you'd be able to put something inside of it. You wouldn't want to make anything too sharp because it could tear your envelope and your packing tape, but it's not too bad. So there we are. We made 2 faux slides using packing tape, printables, and you could do this with book page images, but I prefer doing it copy paper because I don't want to get the words and stuff. But you could absolutely, if you wanted like just an image of words, you could do this with book page. Works really, really well. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hope this brought some inspiration, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for joining me today. Bye.